My name is Tanjal. I'm currently a rising sophomore at the University of Washington studying computer science. Yeah, I had an interesting high school journey when it comes to figuring out what I wanted to do. I went to a public high school and I did a lot of extracurriculars like robotics and I did other CS related extracurriculars, but I also did business related extracurriculars as well. Things like DECA and other things because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. As for like how my application process went, it's been about a year now since that concluded, but I decided to apply to a lot of different schools, almost all as CS majors or CS in business, something like that. I had pretty good success. Some of my notable acceptances were UMich. That was one I was happy with. A lot of UCs, I had a decent success with UCs like SB, UCI. So the college application process for me, I understand that it's a scary thing. I remember I was so scared. It's super frightening. But and you'll eventually realize though like that the effort you put in throughout the 4 years of high school and obviously working with Harpal, you will be totally fine. You will end up in a perfectly good spot. Like I realized that. As for how college is going right now, at one of the, I'd like to say, I guess, better CS institutions in the country, it's definitely difficult, but it's also manageable. There's so many struggles that people face in the program, like imposter syndrome. I have imposter syndrome because there's so many smart individuals, and sometimes I feel like I don't belong. But you might experience that. I experienced that for sure, but you learn to move past it. Obviously, it's difficult. It's tougher than high school for sure. Especially as a CS major, you need to learn a lot more. Thinking outside of the box in terms of how you thought in high school. Like you need to learn what you actually want to do in college because you're given a much more blank slate of what you can do. You're just kind of thrown into this new world of like you don't have to go home at 4 p.m. like you do in high school every day. You actually get to do your own things, whatever you're interested in, like clubs or projects or other things like that. And so that's something that you will definitely be tackling as you transition from high school to college. Yeah. So that's just a little bit about my experience, how it went for me. College apps was tough. It's a lot of writing essays. It's a lot of work, but when you're working with, advisors like Harpal and his team, I think that makes it a lot more manageable. At least it was for me. And yeah, it's a tough process, but I think the work you put in will be more than worth it when you can end up, saying that you're going to this school doing what you want to pursue. I took the strategy of just taking a bunch of AP classes. I took 14 AP classes in high school. And I think the only way I was able to manage it, the strategies I did to get through that was just first of all, a calendar and a to-do list is a must. You have to, if you want to take like a rigorous course load, you need a calendar, you need a to-do list or like an agenda or something like that. You need that. And I'm not perfect at all. It's really tough to manage all of that, but I was able to do it. And actually, it was I think that's the sole reason why I was able to get A's in my classes was because I had the time management skill and knowing like how you want to schedule your day up. Like I had an exact plan of how my days would go. I would get home from school. I'll give myself 30 minutes to recuperate from what I just experienced, which was public high school. And then I would just bang through my work, just like every class, I would just do the work, read the textbook, whatever I had to do. I knew I had to do it. And I would schedule how much time I'd spend for studying or for homework. At the end of the day, I'd just go to the gym. I was done with all the school. I would do my gym and then I'd head to robotics or something like that. Like I knew how I want each day to be structured. That was essential. I needed to do that to get all my work done and get my extracurriculars done because I was also pretty involved in high school. And also I would not be afraid of like seeking out other resources like, tutoring, YouTube, those kinds of things. I think that's really helpful for like getting through some really tough classes, especially like AP Chem and physics and all those AP sciences that can be tough without tutoring. It stems from a place of like when you're in high school, this is where you set the discipline rather than motivation, right? Like I remember like ninth grade, like I had no intention of trying at all. And my friend was like, hey, this the grades matter. You know that, right? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, college, dude. I was like, what are you talking about? College. And so I didn't even know what was going on. But then I realized when I got to high school, this is where I discover a lot of who I am. And it stems from learning discipline rather than motivation of like, okay, this is my time. Time is everything. So some sort of calendar really helps, to-do lists. I knew that I had to implement those. Like there's no way I could do, there's no way I could build a good activities list and get good grades without some sort of tracker. I just knew I couldn't. It's a sacrifice to make the most of your time because you only have so much time in high school to do the things you want to do, right? It's a limit. It went by so fast. It's a limited amount of time. The toughest part of high school is managing school and extracurriculars and getting your sleep. That's the most difficult part. Because I did a lot of extracurriculars, and robotics is one of those extracurriculars where it's 24 hours you can clock in and clock out. You can be in that house until 4 to 5 a.m. in the morning if you want to. I had to do it a couple of times. It's one of those things where like it can absorb your entire life. Like you can fully just be pulled into that and then lose sight of your work or lose sight of what you need to do. In the terms of extracurriculars and academics, balancing comes from the time you can choose to invest into it, and that's fully dependent on like school. And I'm not going to say it was like completely static. It changes every week. Like if I have a really heavy school week, like I did a lot in like junior senior year, I would have to just dial back the extracurriculars, and that's okay. That's part of it. Like sometimes you just have to, if you want to get those grades to be good for the college application, you just have to kind of teeter off the extracurriculars a little bit. I ended up applying to I think 25 schools or 24, and it was not easy. I remember, obviously Harpal's tools helped. I had like Google Sheets, which were, organized by school and the essays for each school. The best way to put it was I divided my schools into EA, RD, and then if it was like rolling or like a late application, and like by deadline, I would do it. I also looked for schools which had overlapping essays. Obviously, I would definitely, like, I wouldn't write a complete unique essay every time for some overlapping problems because I just wouldn't have anything unique to say regarding that. So yeah, I did make to-do lists of which schools I wanted to get done and which days. I assigned dates for myself for which essays I wanted to finish by which date. I also had like revision goals for essays, like, oh, I want to revise this wording, this kind of aspect of it. I would do that. I think one super helpful thing for me was letter of continued interest. I put a lot of effort in letter of continued interest, LOCIs. That was really important for me because I remember I got waitlisted or deferred from a lot of schools, and I ended up getting in to like 3 of them or 2 of them off of the letter of continued interest. It's overwhelming for sure. It's a lot of essays, a lot of time, but it's doable, I'd say. Yeah. I for sure wanted to give up. It's super natural for a high school senior in their second semester to want to give up. You're tired. I was so burnt out from school and everything, but it's really about how bad you want it. As cliche as that sounds, it's really just about how bad you want to do it. Because like if you want to get into good schools, you have to be a fighter. Like you have to keep pursuing whatever you want. Like I know that like if I want to get into GT, of course I'm writing that letter of continued interest. That's how they're going to accept me. Like it's the only way. I have to be persistent if I want to actually achieve something. This is a top computer science school that I'm applying to. Like they're not going to accept any Jack and Jill who applies. I need to show them that I really truly do want this, and I think I did. I showed them that this is who I am. This is what I can do. I'm not like the rest of the other applicants. I bring something different to the table. I'm a hard worker. I'm persistent. I think that's why I'm a big advocate of the letter of continued interest for that reason. I think it's definitely a powerful tool, and I get you're tired. I get you want to give up, but this is where you show what you're made of. Is that when you're tired and you're burnt out, and you send that letter anyway, and you write what you care about. I think that's how you get it done. You just gotta show them that that's what you want. That's how I saw it, at least. You will get the right acceptance, and even if you don't, there's always rolling schools you can apply to. You'll figure it out. So, in terms of school choices, I know we worked one-to-one on school choices, but I really liked the platform we used to look at all the schools and their benefits and all that, which I'm sure you're still using. That helped a lot, and also talking with you obviously about what schools I did want to apply to, which eventually ended up being almost every school in the country. But we that definitely helped a lot. Also, in terms of essay writing, I think breaking it down by like essential life like moments and experiences and how we built those and then section them off. I think that's a good strategy. I definitely thought looking back at my essays, I feel like they reflect my character well and what I cared about and what I was interested in.